to start off, why don't you just say your name and where you're from and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Rory Angela Sancho, and I'm from Plymouth, Michigan, which is down, you know, here. And I'm about halfway between Ann Arbor and Detroit. And I am an elementary school teacher. This is my 25th year in the classroom. And I'm the mom and stepmom of five kids ranging from 17 to 27.
Wow, awesome. So how did you get interested in exchange and being a local coordinator?
So the funny thing is, I don't know that I was interested in it until I was actually a local coordinator. I'm going to be wrapping up my teaching career pretty soon, but not ready to sit at home either. So I just kind of started exploring options for teachers outside the classroom. One thing kind of led to another, and I applied for the job to be an LC, not really knowing what it entailed. Then went through the interview process, and during the interview process, started to get a feel for the job and think like, this was actually perfect. I felt like a lot of the questions, even in my interview, it was so a natural fit with teaching, like just a lot of the questions and everything. So I felt comfortable going into it, not really knowing what to expect. I kind of felt like, okay, I can place students, not a big deal. I deal with families all the time. So I came in at the beginning of summer. So it's like now looking back at it, it's kind of an odd time to come in because I felt like it was kind of wrapping up. So I just kind of went with the flow for a little bit,
Mhm.
not really sure. I thought if it threw me a couple extra dollars a month, that's great. Then at the last minute, we decided to host. And then kind of snowballing onto that, I ended up at national meeting, which was kind of a surprise for me. And that's when I knew I wanted to be an LC. That's when it really hit me what the whole thing was about and the big picture. Like, I'm not just placing students. Like, it really is, it's a mindset. And I think it's like a lifestyle, just being in the whole program. National meeting, like, I liked what I was doing and everything, but I really didn't know the bigger part of it. And national meeting is what clinched it. And I came home from that and like, not only just do I want to place students, like, I want to be a part of this. Like, I want this to be a part of us and everything. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, national meeting and being a part of like the AYA family, the best way to get a feel for it is being there in person and meeting all the members of this community. You said you decided to host kind of like into the season, like closer to the start of the school year. What led to that decision and how's it going?
honestly, what led to the decision was being able to qualify for national meeting.
Perfect.
Ashley had told me if I got one more, I could go to national meeting. So I threw it on my family. And in all honesty, the family was not super welcoming to the idea. So we agreed that we would welcome host for the sake of mom, happy house and everything. That's how we decided to host. We agreed it would be a welcome situation. And I want to say our host son was there for about 48 hours and my kids started talking about plans to do at Christmas time and everything. And I kind of backed them up. I'm like, oh, remember, we're a welcome family. And my kids asked that 48 hours to him being there. Absolutely. He's here. He's going to be part of our family. This is amazing. And you can't kick him out.
Wow, that's
Exact
great.
words. Yeah, yeah, and it seriously was the best, almost like non-decision that we made, like, that it just has been wonderful. It is I think everybody in our family has taken something different away from it, but it's been great for everybody. We still have him, like, we haven't kicked him out. He's with us through the whole school year. We love him, we love his family, and we like it so much that we've already agreed to take 2 boys next year because I want more.
That's
So,
great. That's
yeah, yeah,
amazing. You
yeah.
mentioned that your family members are getting different things from this experience. What are some of the things you're noticing as a parent or just as a family member that you're getting out of hosting?
Yeah, so my daughter, so she's 17, she's finishing up high school. Her thing now is just talking to our host, son Tom, about how things are in Germany and like things that he has seen because he's obviously traveled around Europe. Kind of created that wanderlust for her. Like she is already talking about going over to Germany and not just Germany, but what she's going to see from Germany. It's nice to kind of see that because I've always had that in me. And I feel like she's been a little bit more apprehensive like about that. And so now like talking about going with a friend and going to see
Mm.
town and her and her friend after high school, they want to go travel. And so that's definitely has changed her outlook about getting out there and traveling. And I think seeing somebody, our host son's a year younger than her, and seeing somebody that was willing to do that and go away from their house for 10 months, it really opened my daughter's eyes to what the possibilities are and what her options are, and that if somebody else can do this, she can do this too. So I feel like out of everybody, she's probably taken the most away from it. My son, that he's still in the house too, he's a year older. I think she was kind of get like confidence, just seeing like the confidence of who we're hosting, that somebody that at the age of 16 can do that. And it's opened their eyes to options, I think, that they have as far as the adults in the household. Both my husband and I are like the more the merrier. So we love having another one in the house. We love having another child that like we can go to their activities because our kids are at the end of that. My baby is 17 and
Aw.
everything. And so it's, and we've always had that. We've always had kids that are active, and we're kind of at the end of that. So it was like a reset for us to like go to the back to school nights and go to like some new sporting events. And we've learned a lot about the culture too. I have German in my background. My husband does not, but he works for a German company.
Hmm.
So just like some of the connections and some of the things like talking about the country and the customs and everything, like we're still learning. We're adults and like we're still learning things, like even things that we thought maybe were true, like it's breaking some of the stereotypes that we had too.
I love that. That is so cool. And it's wonderful to hear that you're having those experiences, which ultimately are some of the main goals of this
Yeah.
program and the visa program as a whole. Where are your students from next year going to be from?
So the ones that we're hosting, we're doing a German boy and an Italian boy. Yep.
Mix it up a little bit.
It up a little bit. And my husband is, we call him 110% Italian. So there's both sides of the family are 100% Italian. He's really excited about next year. My in-laws are over the moon. Oh,
Oh,
like, oh,
cool.
yes, and
So now
everything.
you're
They're like,
looping in another generation too. That's great.
yes, and my in-laws are still, they try to hold up like a lot of Italian traditions, like still they still do like homemade pasta and homemade sausage. Yeah, my mother-in-law like can't wait to get what our new students Nona's recipes are and how she does things. And
Nice.
so we might just be booted out of the picture at some point.
I
So, but
love
yeah,
that.
that was our thing, is that we were going to do this again. We wanted to definitely expand, and like we already have it in our plans that the following year, like we want to, go to new, like look at for new countries and everything. So that's our biggest thing.
I love the big picture that you guys have for this whole experience. So you're still sort of in your first year as a local
Oh,
coordinator, and you've been having a lot of success with placement this year. We're very excited you're already qualified for national meeting this
wow.
year, which is
So excited.
fantastic. But do you have any advice, or like how did you get into it so quickly and start having success?
I feel like it's definitely a snowball. Like I went the first couple months with just no bites. And then I placed two like back to back. And it was reaching out to friends of friends. Like that's how I started. It was just like networking in my own personal circle because that's what I was comfortable with.
Hmm.
And I started slow and I had some success with that. And then the second thing is I really built a relationship with one particular high school. They did not have a lot of background with hosting exchange students, but were extremely open. So they were 100% on board. So I worked hard to build a relationship with them to kind of be like that primary person that is placing students. And luckily, they don't have a lot of restrictions that a lot of the bigger high schools have, or like the more experienced. So I can bring students in mid-year. I can bring semester students
Sure.
in. So building that relationship with the high school, I think that was huge for one. And then I started with what I was comfortable with. Like I said, I started with friends of friends to start my placements then. And then that's grown. Like I've gotten more comfortable approaching people that I don't know. And I've gotten more comfortable broadcasting to a bigger audience and like growing my network, just kind of stepping outside my comfort zone. So that would
Hmm.
definitely be some advice. And at least for me, like I did picture myself as a salesperson and I still don't. Encouraging people is
Hmm.
probably like a weaker area for me. I'm a quick one to say if somebody says like, no, thank you. I'm like, okay. Um, I think that like, yeah, a lot of advice was to be persistent, and you can be persistent without being annoying. And for me, like it was understanding that like I'm not being annoying. Like people ask things of me all the time. And so, it's okay. But yeah, like stepping outside of comfort zone, I think definitely kept the ball rolling for me. If I would have just stayed with what I was comfortable with, I probably would have still gotten placements, but I felt like they were trickling in like here and
Hmm.
there. But
Hmm.
putting myself out there has definitely got the placements coming in a lot quicker.
Great. Do you think having Tom in your community, your exchange student, has that been an asset or has that been a helpful sort of like representation for
Yes.
folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Hosting on our hosting ourselves has been a huge benefit to talking to other people. First of all, I feel like my current host families, I can talk to them and relate to them.
Mm,
I know what's going on at our house. Chances are there's a good chance that could be going on at your house too. And maybe you didn't even think to bring that up. Or I can like offer advice like, hey, we noticed that this time of year can be kind of rough. It's sincere because that's what's happening with us. So talking to my current host families definitely allows me to make that connection with them. They can relate to me. I feel like the students that I supervise can also relate to me because they know that I'm hosting somebody too. But then putting that out there to new people, I mean, I lead with my hosting experience.
mm,
And I feel that that is a lot easier for somebody to make a connection with as far as what I'm doing personally than just slapping a student graphic out there and it looks like an advertisement.
right.
Talking to them and saying like, yeah, this is what we've gone through. This is what my family has got out of it. And yeah, these are some of the challenges we've had, but these are how like we've overcome them. And these are some of the new things that we learned from it. I think that people relate to that. Like they know that you're sincere because you're going through it. And that sits with people a lot more than saying, well, this is what you can expect. And not really knowing if that's
Yeah.
what you can expect. Like, it's different than you just reading it out of a manual too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. The theory and the practice are so different.
absolutely.
Love
Yes.
that.
So, and like people see the fun that we're having. I mean, like really, like I post a lot about it and I don't post necessarily advertising being an LC, but I post like what we're doing, like with him, like, like last night he lettered in a sports. We went to the banquet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I post about that and people see that, like they can connect to that. And then like that to me is definitely been helpful for me to get new families is like them seeing my experience with it.
Makes it really real. It's all theory until you have a 17-year-old in your house and they're a real person.
Exactly.
Love
Exactly.
that.
And I feel too like hosting on our own, I learned that process a lot more so as an LC going through it with my own instead of like having to like revert back to like training and handbooks all the time. Like I have quicker answers for my host families because of my experience. I
Absolutely.
feel like if I wasn't hosting a lot of the questions that I get, I'd probably be like, okay, I have to get back with you. Let me double check the policy on it. Where being a host family, like I just know. So I feel like I'm more helpful too.
I
So
love that. That's awesome. So is there anything now, looking back on your experience now, is there anything that you wish you had known earlier or that you would say to a brand new LC who's trying to jump into the field?
patience and stuff. I know, like, I feel like the first couple months can be a little bit frustrating or disheartening because you do put a lot of that information out there. So be patient, definitely would be my advice. The first year really focused. I feel like attending national meeting is just a game changer. And like if your eye is on the prize, like motivation, as a new LC, like work on those first couple of placements. And if you host, like you're one third of the way there
Very
for
true.
national
Yeah.
for
It's
national
it's
meeting.
really attainable. Yeah.
It is like, and yeah, so as a new LC, like I feel like be patient, work with what you have, set small goals. It's the snowball effect. Like once you hit that small goal, I feel like you coast. You don't coast after that, but it's a lot easier.